Welcome back to 110 Daily on the 110 Sports Network. Josh Dorian, Chris Brown are here with me. The Podium, if you're unfamiliar, the Podium is we take a random category and we assign a bronze, silver, and gold medal to items in said category. The category today is favorite Super Bowls. Not best Super Bowls, but favorite Super Bowls, which I guess sometimes can overlap. But I definitely have a couple that are not anybody else's best Super Bowls. Definitely not. Maybe there's one in there that might be some other people's best Super Bowls, but it is certainly I got some variety here on the list, and that was kind of what we were getting at with doing favorite instead of best Super Bowls. We'll do this fairly quickly, starting with the bronze medal. Mr. Brown, what's your bronze medal?
It's a good note that our all my favorites ended up being in the last 5, 6, 7 years, because I wasn't, I'm not somebody who's like been going back and watching tape of the 1985 Super Bowl, and I wasn't watching the Super Bowl and having great. I have not. I have not. I know I've been slacking. I have, not dedicated to the craft, I guess. And I also don't have like distinct memories of the 2002 Super Bowl. So anyway, my bronze medal goes to Super Bowl 49 in 2015. Patriots over the Seahawks 28-24. This game had like everything you could want from it in a title game. There was this incredible comeback, one of the most memorable plays in NFL history. The Seahawks were looking to, cement their, they were going to have a dynasty, and the Patriots were trying to show theirs wasn't over. They hadn't won since 2004. And the Seahawks had this 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and then Patriots scored 14 fourth quarter points. Seattle decides to pass from the 1-yard line instead of handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Malcolm Butler picks off Russell Wilson. That does it. That caps off an incredible game. That's my bronze medal, Super Bowl 49.
I like that. Josh, your gold. Not silver, not gold. We'll try one more time. Your bronze medal.
I have the exact same game as my bronze medal, Super Bowl 49.
Look at that.
Cool.
I loved the drama of the last possession, the debate afterward.
There's no debate. Hold on. Whoa. There's no debate. They had Marshawn Lynch. There is no debate.
the ramifications of now everybody uses that play as this is why you never pass from the 1-yard line. And this has a legacy that has outlived its sort of Super Bowl.
Right. Even not just the play, but just the Super Bowl, right? Like that Super Bowl. Yeah.
And I absolutely loved that Seattle defense, like you said, Chris, the dynasty aspect of this, the idea that they were trying to go back to back. They were trying to be the best team in the NFL with a okay offense, but really just because of that defense and particularly that secondary. And I'm just a huge fan of secondary players that are really good. So that part of it too, there was just a lot going on. And so, yeah, that's my bronze medal.
Was it even a play action? I don't remember the play specifically.
I don't think so.
But I don't think it was. Because I think it was like a quick slant. So I don't think there was. But like it wasn't even like you didn't even give the illusion that you were going to hand it to Marshawn Lynch. Come on, Pete Carroll. Come on. My bronze medal is Super Bowl 51. New England Patriots 34, Atlanta Falcons 28. If you will take a walk down memory lane with me for a moment, you will remember that Super Bowl 51. Once upon a time, the score was 28-3, excuse me. Just a tough day. Second half, really, for the Atlanta Falcons. And just watching, and right, there was a argument for Brady to be the best of all time before this game, but this was sort of his moment. Right, it was something he hadn't done. But we talked on the before the Super Bowl about how this, like Brady's teams, like they've all been close games, but they've all been close the entire time. This was one of the first times, at least that I could remember, where like they just came out and got hit in the mouth really, really, really hard, and that's where Brady, and also we've talked about, Josh, you talked about last week, that typically Brady's best games aren't in the Super Bowl. And Brady's second, like that's the best 2 quarters of Brady's career probably.
Sure.
And to have them happen in the Super Bowl and to sort of watch this, right? And it was also going to be I guess that would have been ring number 5, right? He's won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls, so that would have been ring number 5 because number 6 came against the Rams.
Was the Rams.
Number 7, of course, last weekend. So, he only had 4 at the time. He was certainly in the conversation for the greatest of all time. And the other part of this is that the Patriots won 17-2 that year and were clearly the best team in the NFL. And the last time they were just far and away clearly, like, Brady has a blemish on his resume of he had maybe the best football team ever, and they didn't win the Super Bowl. To watch him bring that team back from 28-3, right? Of course, the defense, has a part to play in that when you shut out a team for an entire fourth quarter and only give up 7 points. It still is. It was incredibly impressive to watch, and sort of watching Brady really turn into, really starting to become the best quarterback of all time from a resume perspective, and watching him have that moment, and also just watching a team come back from that much in the Super Bowl is crazy. So yeah, they are and specifically the fourth quarter of that game. So that's my bronze medal.
It's a nice transition because they're my silver. That's my silver
Me
medal.
too.
All right.
That is my silver medal. It's your silver. Yeah, this is either the greatest comeback in NFL playoff history or the greatest collapse in NFL playoff history, depending on which way you look at it. I don't have a ton to add. Just like this had some truly incredible individual plays in this game. Like there was the Julio Jones catch. I have written down the Julio Jones catcher, but that's not right. And that incredible diving grab by Julian Edelman in that game too. Like there's some plays from that game that stand out in my mind. That I don't have a ton to add. They're my silver medal.
The thing I'll add is I've never felt the way I felt after a championship game the way I felt after that one. For sort of the reason that you brought up, Josh, about that was sort of Brady is really the GOAT. This is kind of the turning point. I can't believe he just did that.
Right. And
this idea that there was part of me that just never thought it was over. And just to see it, there was something special and a different kind of feeling I had after that game. Not because of who won or lost, but just watching Brady do that.
Right. It's a good point because typically, right, Jordan's known for the longevity of his GOATness. He won 6 titles in 7 years, and the one he didn't win is because he went to play baseball, or 8 years or whatever it was. But I mean, and there's certainly some Jordan games to point to, right? And there's some Jordan shots to point to, but specifically in the NFL, you don't always get that moment of, right? And just in the NBA, it's a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there is that moment, it's not always and not usually, right? You have LeBron's block, but you have Kyrie's shot. And that 7-game series is more talked about, the fact, the blowing the 3-1 lead, Draymond getting suspended. But having the nature of the Super Bowl being a one-day event with one game, it lays the foundation for something like this to happen and for a all-time great to have a moment like this. And to really, and it also just happened at the right point in his journey to being the greatest, I think, right? Because it's Super Bowl number 5 and it's doing what he did and being completely the reason that they came back, right? All of those things really put it into a moment that we don't always get. So my last 2 are completely, because both of you had the same game for silver, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
My last 2 my gold medal is a combination of nostalgia and the game, and I would be a little surprised if at least one of you didn't have the same game for gold. But my silver medal goes to Super Bowl 41, when the Colts beat the Bears in Super Bowl 41. I grew up a diehard Peyton Manning fan and had seen Peyton Manning come up short a lot of times before. And to see him finally get and there were just some cool parts about this game. The Devin Hester kick return at the very beginning was awesome, right? But then the Colts were clearly the better football team. You had the Kelvin Hayden interception, pick six at the end to sort of seal the entire thing. It wasn't a super exciting football game, but for me that was okay because I wanted Peyton Manning to win, and I'd also just been to the AFC Championship game. I went to that AFC Championship game, talking about Brady and comebacks, when the Colts were down 21-3 at halftime to Brady and the Patriots, and they come back and win. And to sort of put the, calling it the icing on top is not the right, but it was the end of the story, right? And that it would have put a damper on that AFC Championship game if the Colts had ended up going and losing to the Bears in that game. They of course didn't, and Peyton got his first Super Bowl. So that was awesome to watch. Also putting into consideration the fact that I had just gone to the AFC Championship game that year. Of course, is a part of that, but yeah, that's my silver medal.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't really consider that. I didn't consider that one, but I probably should have. I mean, just for the fact, just from a standpoint of also just like one. I was a Colts fan then too, because the Rams had just were not good for a long time, and so I just sort of adopted the Colts as my team that I paid the most attention to. So yeah, I'm with you there. It's a good one.
Gold medal, Mr. Brown.
I would not be surprised if at least one, if not both of you, has this one as our gold medal. I know Mr. Doring's going to be very happy with this one. 2018 Super Bowl 52.
Is this yours too, Doring?
Of course.
Okay. All right. This is not mine, but okay.
Not yours.
Cool,
okay.
Cool.
Eagles over Patriots. One of the best back and forth battles in NFL postseason history. Also, the most prolific offensive display in Super Bowl history. Both teams combined for over 1,000 yards of offense, 74 combined points in regulation. The Patriots never punted in this game. I didn't even remember that. I didn't think that just sort of caught my eye when I looked it up. Nick Foles under center. I mean, you know the story. I'll let Josh give his more thoughts on this, right? Tom Brady, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Patriots still lost. The Philly special, all these things involved in this game. Josh, take it away. Share your thoughts. You can do so much. We can do this game do this game a justice more than I can.
Yeah, first, let's not get it twisted. This was absolutely Tom Brady's best performance in the Super Bowl. And it's easy to forget that because it came in a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But that defense was so good. And they made the Vikings just look silly in the conference championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And Brady lit them up. I was in awe of how easily he was just tearing apart this defense that had been so good all season long.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is always going to be my gold medal because it was a great game, because the Eagles won, because they beat Tom Brady, because they did it with Nick Foles. And it's one thing for coaches to sort of have this next man up mentality, but to actually see it carried out this way, because quite honestly, my first thought after Carson Wentz got hurt was Nick Foles is a capable quarterback. Not that guarantees they're going to win the Super Bowl, but that this team is good enough that this isn't over just because Carson Wentz got hurt, because they have a capable backup who has proven himself as a starter before. So there's all of those parts of it, and the fact that he played out and all of this, and the defense was great, except for the Super Bowl. And ultimately, the other part of it's my favorite collection of players on a team ever, any sport. This group, from Wentz to Foles to Malcolm Jenkins and the other guys on that defense, Chris Maragos on special teams, they embodied everything that is great about Philadelphia sports. So I will always appreciate that part of it. And they're also my second favorite team of all time, only because
Leicester's got to be first, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
When you win the Premier League at 5,000 to 1, you automatically become my favorite team of all time. But
I gotta go to bat for you for a second here. Josh was a Leicester fan prior to that happening.
That's correct.
It's not the win doesn't correspond with the beginning of his fandom. Just go to bat for you for a second there.
So this was always going to be one for me. But just the way that team stuck together and the way that Doug Peterson was able to really get them to actually believe and not just sort of speak, but bring it into existence, that this thing isn't over, that Nick Foles is capable, that we brought him in for this reason in case Carson got hurt, that this team is really, really good. And then everybody was looking at it and going, well, they can't beat Tom Brady. And they found a way. And the Super Bowl special, or the Philly special, and Trey Burton. And this was always number one. I didn't have to think for half a second about it.
Well, I didn't have to think about mine for half a second either. And I'm surprised that this doesn't show up on anybody else's list. But no, my gold medal goes to Super Bowl 42.
Okay, that was my first one out. They would have been my number 4. They were the one I was debating on.
Giants 17, Patriots 14. Patriots 18-0 coming into the game. It was a narrative of, it was leading up to this game. It was, can anybody come up with a reason that the Giants are going to beat the Patriots? Because it wasn't even like, you couldn't even have it's going to rain and snow. It was in Arizona inside. It couldn't have been more perfect, right? And this was a Giants team that finished the regular season 10-6.
Almost beat the Patriots at the end, if I remember correctly.
I believe that's right. I believe that is right. But 10-6, it's not like this. It was almost inconceivable how they were supposed to win this football game. And then they went and won this football game. And not only did they win this football game, they won it in a fashion that the Patriots just weren't having games like this that season. Trivia time. What's the fewest number of points that were scored by the Patriots that year prior to them losing in the Super Bowl?
20.
Actually, we'll do prior to the conference championship, because they only scored 21 in the conference championship game against the Chargers that year. Prior to the last 2 games, what was the fewest amount of points they scored?
24.
It was go ahead.
31.
It was actually 20. I missed one in here. They lost to the Jets. They beat the Jets 20-10, but 38 points, 38 points, 38 points, 34, 34, 48, 49, 52. That was the first 8 weeks. Then 24 against the Colts, 56, 31, 27, 34, 20, 28, 38, 35 against the Giants in week 17. And then 31, 21, 14 in the Super Bowl. And we've talked about why and the pressure, and we've talked about that multiple times in the playoffs with Brady this year. And then you have the David Tyree catch, penning the ball to his helmet. And then you have the fact that, I talked about nostalgia being a part of this. My dad and I were massive Peyton Manning fans. You know who was a massive Eli Manning fan? My mother. She was a Eli Manning's this cute underdog, and I want to root for Eli Manning. And she was an absolute wreck during this game, and so that being part of the experience is crazy. But also, like, this wasn't supposed to happen at all. And then, for Eli Tom Brady went down the field, and with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left, scored a touchdown, right? So it's 14-10, and Eli Manning has to lead him all the way down the field. You have the David Tyree pin the ball on his helmet catch in the middle of that drive. Somehow Eli doesn't get sacked on that play. And then you have the Plaxico Burress touchdown catch with 35 seconds left. It had the nostalgia. It had my mom freaking out about it. But also it just has what I want in every single Super Bowl championship deciding game, and that's plays being made down the stretch and finding a way to win and responding with the punches you get with another punch. Right. Tom Brady led his team down the field, and Eli Manning came back and did the same thing. This was right. The one I was most excited about was the Colts winning their first Super Bowl. But the one that had me sort of in awe, and then you add the fact that this was just not supposed to happen. That is my gold medal.
You see, there was a reason I wanted to clarify best versus favorite, and it's specifically pertained to this game. Because if it was best, it would probably be one, or at the very least, it would be two for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but biggest upset in Super Bowl history, right? I mean,
But the very reason that you said this was not supposed to happen, is exactly why this was never touching my list. Because at this point in my life, I was a massive Patriots fan. This might be the single most scarring sports event of my childhood fandom, and I don't think it's close.
Wow.
I never realized. I never knew this part.
I was so sure they were going to win. So sure. Mm-hmm. I could not believe what was happening. So that's why it was. If it was best, absolutely.
Sure.
But that's why it's not touching my list.
I didn't know that.
This was the worst Super Bowl experience I've ever had.
I didn't know that. Okay. I thought I knew pretty much everything about you when it comes to sports. I did not know that. That is. Then that's fair. It wouldn't have touched my my list either in that situation. But that's the podium. That was fun. I'm glad we had you guys had zero variety. Good job, guys. Pat myself on the back here for bringing all the variety. But it's 10:06. We won't take another break, but let's do best and most interesting real quick. Josh, what's the best game of the weekend?
Going to Serie A, Inter Milan, Lazio. Lazio in really good form, right in the thick of the top four race now, battling for those Champions League spots. Inter's only 2 points back of their arch rivals AC Milan at the top of the table in the thick of a title race. This is a really good matchup in a weekend where there aren't all that many thrilling ones. So that's my best game of the weekend.
I have Oklahoma, West Virginia. I'm annoyed that this game is on ESPN Plus, but it's not on like a regular channel. It annoys me. It's a rematch between the contest between these two teams back on January 2nd. Oklahoma blew like an 18 or 20 point halftime lead, something like that. And they were able to then come back, win by 4. This one's in Morgantown. Oklahoma playing the first game of the week because their Baylor game was postponed. They've won 6 of 7. Austin Reeves is back. West Virginia, we talked about their loss to Florida a couple weeks back. Since then, they've beaten Kansas. Well, Kansas, but they've also won at Texas Tech on Tuesday. They've won 3 straight. I'm interested in this matchup just because I think it'll be pretty competitive. There's a lot, a good bit on the line for both these teams. I'm just disappointed that I think it's at least up there among the best games in the weekend objectively, and it's not on like regular ESPN or ESPN2 or something. But anyway, that's my choice.
Yeah, I need Oklahoma to win another. Right, it's one thing to get to top 10 in the country. It's another thing to win games with the target on your back as the top 10 team in the country, especially a team like this that I don't think anybody was expecting to be the number 12 team in the country at any point in this season. Right, if they lose this one, they get Texas, and then I like to see teams respond well to the pressure of being a top 10 team. Right, they lose at Texas Tech. There's nothing wrong with that, but they played Iowa State. They only beat Iowa State by 7. They haven't been. I want to see them step up and play well in this game against West Virginia. So sure. I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go to a different place in the college basketball world. I'm gonna go to Creighton Villanova on Saturday. This is up there with Oklahoma West Virginia as one of the best games of the weekend. Number 5 Villanova, number 19 Creighton. It's a 2-horse race in the Big East at this point. I mean, Xavier's 4-2, but Xavier's 4-2 in Big East play. Let me say that again. It's February 12th, and Xavier is 4-2 in Big East play. But they're technically tied right now. Villanova 8-1, Creighton 11-4. So from a Big East perspective, one team is going to be outright the number 1 team in the Big East, at least for the moment. So there's some weight there as well. And it's a good one between two teams. And I'm still, I don't think Creighton's great. I'm just a little confused by Creighton, to be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about them as a team, so getting to watch them play a team like Villanova will certainly help with that. So that's my best game. Most interesting, Mr. Doran.
Loyola Drake, because we get two of them.
Well, then I'm picking the second one.
All right, I'll take Saturdays. Of course, these are two teams that deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. They're battling for the number 1 seed regular season title in the MVC. Loyola Chicago has its own pedigree with what they've done the past couple seasons. Drake trying to continue this incredible run they've been on. And also, you don't have many opportunities like this, especially in a season where the non-conference wasn't what it normally is. So this could really change the complexion of these two teams' NCAA tournament hopes. If one team wins both, then you might be in some trouble, particularly if you're Drake and you lose both these. If you split them, you feel pretty good. You get to go play, theoretically, a third one in the conference tournament. That's really what we all need, is for them to split these two games so they both make the NCAA tournament, because they both deserve it. But this is... You don't get something like this very often.
No, you do not. I'm right there with you. I'll just go. This is my most interesting series this weekend, is these two teams. I would love for them to split it. I would also I want to watch. I want to see these two teams play, just because I feel like if people watch this game, they will get the feeling of these are two really high quality basketball teams. And to a certain extent, you have to watch a mid-major team play before you believe that, right? Is it they're just beating up on the teams that aren't as good as they are, or are they truly quality basketball teams? I think both are quality basketball teams, and I hope the games that we get this weekend between them are a representation of that. Chris, you're most interesting.
I'm intrigued by Michigan, Wisconsin on Sunday.
Definitely.
Now, I am not, I didn't really consider it amongst options for best game, because I think there's a chance that Wisconsin might win this game somewhat decisively, and I'm still not feeling much differently about either of these teams. But this is just, simply put, it's the first time we're going to have seen the third-ranked team in the country since January 22nd. So that on its own, is, important, is relevant. Of course, right, there's questions for any team that's had that kind of a layoff, what they're going to look like, which is why I think there's a chance that, maybe they just aren't quite, it takes them a few games to get back to where they need to. And I'm not, going to be concerned about that. But the combination of seeing them on the court again, a Wisconsin team where there's just they've been sliding down the top 25 in recent weeks, right there. I looked at their recent schedule, right? They've beaten Rutgers and Northwestern and Maryland and Penn State and Nebraska. They lost to Ohio State and Illinois pretty convincingly. So this is a Wisconsin team that I have real questions about. Can they get it back in gear, pick up some big wins, and a Michigan team that I just want to see play again, because it's been a while. So I'm intrigued by this one.
All right. I like that as well. Yeah, it is. Right now, where I am in the Big Ten is, can Michigan sort of catch up in the number of games while also maintaining their spot in, right? And they may never get to the point where they play all 20 of their conference games, but right, they're 8-1. Their winning percentage is awesome, but Illinois is 9-3, Ohio State's 10-4. Both of those teams are only a half a game back. If Wisconsin wins this game, they're also half a game back. So we could be in a situation where we're in a very the race for the Big Ten regular season is very tight, and Michigan can sort of take a little bit better of a grasp on it if they win, or just bring more teams into the conversation if they lose. Anything else, gentlemen?
I don't think so.
No.
Thank you for making us part of your day here at 110 Daily. We'll be back on Monday to talk about Loyola and Drake, of course, and whatever happens between now and then. Thank you so much for making us part of your day, and we will see you right back here on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/110sports. Check out Twitter, the website, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you then.